my characterization of average teenagers. So average teenagers in our outside government is characterized as average teenagers who do not have really good results, average results, and they do not have fundings from government such as scholarships. They do not get subsidies from government. They do not have full access to quality education, such as schools in disadvantaged areas like rural areas might face other pressures due to factors beyond control like poverty, lack of parental involvement with students, or community issues. So, to the interest of this debate, let's not put our thinking of an average teenager into this debate, and let us just try to focus on the characterization piece as side of government requested. And our characterization of higher education is that any education after the requirement of an SPM certificate or after the age of 17 or 16, depends on when you are taking it, is considered as higher education. So the limit we set is SPM. After SPM, in this case, we will say like as long as you have obtained an SPM certificate, and above that is already counted as a higher education.
Please?
Yeah.
Will diplomas from TVET and KVs be counted as higher education?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. So my first point will be that Malaysian job market is actually oversaturated. Okay, imagine that I am just a student, an average student in Malaysia who has not really good grades and not much money to pursue education in the first place, and I have to go to college in the first place. Like, let's say you use that as a stigmatization that everyone has to go to college. Not only it will have a huge toll on my family, on myself, but after I get a degree afterwards, does it really guarantee a job for me? Like, do I have a guaranteed job? And the answer is just no. This is the problem with Malaysian education right now, is that everybody assumes that as when you get a degree or when you get a higher education diploma, you already has a guaranteed job. But in the reality, it's no. Right now, the job market is too saturated to a point that even if you have a degree, even if you do have a respectable degree, you are not guaranteed a job. So when you're already in, as a teenager and as a very teenager in Malaysia, when we are already in disadvantage, doing something like this will not only harm us, except it will not only will it harm our progress, it will hinder our progress in the first place on like trying to get a job, trying to like make sure that we are able to like continue our lives better, support our family in the future. So the stigmatization of stable jobs right now, as all of us know, it's probably just like doctors, lawyers, engineers, most or ever. And even if more to say like normal Malaysian students that are trying to get into these jobs are really struggling, like what more to say for students like that are facing issues, like let's say average Malaysian. Yeah.
So what do these average teenagers do after secondary school?
I will explain it later. So please let me continue my speech, because the stigmatization of stable jobs right now is already hindering most like privileged Malaysians that's trying to get into these jobs. So like let's say if I do want to get a college degree, like what's the time limit? Like what's the degree or diploma? Like how many times? Average like minimum at least 2 to 3 years, and that's actually a really huge time for these kind of people, because they do not have enough time left to like support their family, to find the jobs left, like to get a stable job, to make sure that like their future generations are continuing on. And by the time like I finish the thing, my family is probably like going to get poor in the first place anyways. So as an alternative, like we as teenagers who as an average teenagers will opt for maybe vocational jobs such as cooks and mechanics, as we can garner these skills, like these specific skills, more like easily, as like it's only one skill and we do not need really a long time, a lot like specific degree for these kind of skills, and it can be like trained at home, such as, or you can opt for jobs such as farmers, as most of Malaysian teenagers in this case, they do live in rural areas where their families do like pursue like. Yeah.
What's your definition of success?
Our definition of success is that you are able to at least support your family to a certain extent where they at least can live a normal life. But in this case of an average Malaysian teenager, in a form of where you want to pursue a stimulation of the actual success right now, which is probably just doctor, lawyers, engineers, all those respectable jobs. Just imagine that if the pay for doctors are less, will you really want to go for it? No, right? And also you have to consider the fact that not everyone's passion is in line with the stigmatization right now. It's like not everyone wants to pursue that career. You have to understand that. Not everyone wants like, oh, people say doctors earn a lot. Not everyone wants to do that. You have to understand that. Like if let's say I do not want to be a doctor, then my parents force me to. In the first place, and I'm an average teenager, not only going to take a huge toll on my family's like finance, it's going to take a huge toll on my mentally. Not only that, even if I come out, even though I do get a degree rejected, I wouldn't be able to pursue in the first place because I do not want to. It doesn't align with it doesn't align with my passion. Next. So as an alternative is the average teenagers when he has no funds, insufficient education, and etc. would like not go and try to obtain a degree outside to like I would say wait let me
Your IFDs, where would
rejected. So as an alternative, the average Malaysian teenager who has no funds, insufficient funding and support, and maybe like insufficient education would choose not to apply for higher education in this case, as it will actually like do they really expect a greater investment to like going to like a degree, as like it will take money, it's going to take time, toll. The disadvantage greatly outweighs the advantages that comes like that they get out from the college in the first place. So like they won't opt for that choice anymore. So side opposition, you have to understand that an average teenagers in Malaysia do not have the privilege to choose like to pursue like higher education in this sense because they are already suffering. By pursuing higher education, it brings more harm to themselves, as like they have to really like let's expecting like college degree is going to take like at least 40% of their entire family like funding like savings. Does it really like is that really like the optimal like situation for you? No, right? So unless that vision like finds a way to solve the problem where everyone can have will have enough resources with enough fundings, education, they will not be able to in this case, as most and average teenagers in Malaysia, they do not have the privilege, they don't have these advantages provided to them in the first place. So in here in this case, I think I'll stop my speech.
The speaker spoke for 6 minutes and 54 seconds. I thank the speaker for his fine speech and invite the leader of the opposition to take the stage. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the only way you can get the bling bling is if you work for that bling bling itself. Ladies and gentlemen, today our stance is for a guaranteed job for the time being. A guaranteed to be able to apply for a job for the time being in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the world is changing. In the US, in Silicon Valley, you don't need a degree for you to start working. However, let's put this in this context of Malaysia. In Malaysia, you still need a degree, and I'll tell you why you need a degree to even apply for a normal job that you think is very simple to do. First things first, let's talk about the motion. The motion is about choosing either you want to go to uni or not. And he passed the minimum test. Number one, I think that it is unfair to say that the average Malaysian does not have money. You're saying that the average Malaysian is in poverty and the average family is in poverty. However, this is untrue. Malaysia has a normal GDP per capita among other countries, and they can afford public universities, and they think that everyone wants to go to private universities that you need to pay millions. However, this is not true. Public universities are available access. Yes, sure.
Are the degrees of public universities like
I'll talk about that later. First things first, let's talk about what I feel that average message for. The proof is later I'll talk. Secondly, they say that there's no guaranteed job. Yes, while there is no guaranteed job, just like in the US where everyone already has a degree, well, it is not a guarantee for a job, it is a minimum standard for you to even qualify for normal jobs that you think is very, very simple. I'll talk about that later. Thirdly, they did a factual error. They said that KV technique schools are part of high education, said in my pure eyes. However, they say that you can learn to be mechanics. Where do these mechanics actually learn? In status quo, they learn it from KVs, they learn it from TVETs. I need a answer to that. Let's look at the burden of proof. What my side wants to prove to you in this debate today. Number one, we want to prove that Malaysia has still not transitioned into a job market without degrees. Number two, degrees are still a minimum standard of qualification for the time being. And number three, the opportunity of jobs are better on our side. Argument number one, you are able to apply for jobs with a degree. Why do I say this? In Malaysia, without a degree, you are still not able to apply for most of the jobs, most of the office jobs. That's a fact. In Petronas, the idea of hiring someone without a degree is laughable. Today, even with other qualifications, without the standard qualification, without the minimum, you are unable to get a job that is high income in the future or even normal income today. Yes, you can work at T-Life, yes, you can work as a waiter, but this is not what the average Malaysian wants. As an actor in this motion, I want to be able to have the chance to work at a high pay, maybe office jobs. Let's look at government's world. They don't take any degree, they don't even take TVETs or diplomas. What you're looking at is, yes, you can get a job working at T-Life or become a farmer, but status quo, these things are not respected, and my deputy will talk about that. And while they still are valued economically in Malaysia, people still take degrees as minimum standards. Yes, you say doctors, lawyers, engineers, these are not the things that people want to do. However, you need to understand that simple jobs like being a teacher, accountant, normal office work and being a government worker, government servant still needs a degree until today in Malaysia. This is a fact that you need to understand and you need to take in. Even only smaller companies will take diploma, even if we give them diploma, even if you are charitable to give them diplomas. Okay, I can't really say that anymore. Okay, lastly. While you may get a simple job on your side, you are forever stuck there then. Because of the nature of your jobs, you are only available to reach a certain level, which you are stagnant. When you're at T-Life, until when are you going to be at T-Life? When you're at Grab, as a Grab driver, until when? Yes.
How about entrepreneurs?
Entrepreneurs, okay, fine. We can talk about entrepreneurs, but let's look at the average teenager. Can the average teenager, is everyone available or able to become businessman? I don't think so. Unless you can. How many POIs are you going to answer?
One more.
Sorry, fine, man.
But you said that the average teenager, like you said that they already have money and they already have a certain standard of education. Wouldn't then not logically be able to start their own business if you claim that they are not poor and they are not?
Yes, we can talk about economics here. If you say that everyone wants to be a businessman, if you tell every teenager don't go higher in university, become businessmen, then what happens to the market supply and demand? If there's too many businessmen, who's going to buy, who's going to sell? And unless you can prove to me that jobs can still exist while everyone is a businessman, until then, when will Allah? In the market demand and jobs, you're going to see a decline in jobs. But as an actor in this motion, as a teenager, you say that they aren't able to pay for higher education, but then you say that they are able to pay and to use as model as for their business. I don't believe that they are able to, everyone is going for the risk to run a business as an average teenager. That's my reply that I wanted to say. Well, you are able to survive on that side. You want a high income jobs, and those income jobs are not available to you unless you go to high universities, and they don't even want to go to diplomas and KVs. As I'm in the motion, as an actor, why then do I say as a teenager I want to be able to get these office jobs? Number one, I feel like because of a degree, I am able to go into many jobs and are able to qualify for many jobs that I can apply for. You take a marketing degree, you can go to sales, you can go to finance, you can go business with a degree. But without it, the only thing you can do is, again, like examples, you can be a farmer, and these things are stagnant. You have no career build up or career things that you can get to the top and get more money. More money, and why we want more money is simple. More money as salary will make anyone happy. It gives them the joy to buy and then the buying power. Unless you can say to me how these people or how these things are going to get jobs following what the Malaysian standard now is, unless you can prove to me they can still get jobs which is high income in the future or normal today, side opposition wins.
I thank the leader of opposition for his fine speech opening the site for opposition. The speaker spoke for 6 minutes 32 seconds. May I remind to not give POIs within like 15 seconds, to give a 15-second cooling period between POIs to not badger. And without further ado, I invite the DPM to go.
You said KV does not count as higher education, but you not able to because you take it before your like you take it instead of SPM.
My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. SSIDC government seems to believe that in this world of probability and this world of risk, that having and taking the risk to further your education is better than instead of pursuing of what is right now better work experience and having a more stable job in the end. Okay, let me first. Here's how I'm going to structure my debate. First, I'm going to tell you why their arguments don't really work in the real world, and how on our side we are actually much better off. And then I'm going to explain and elaborate on my first speaker points, and then I'm going to tell you exactly why the companies, in fact, do not really, in this status quo, do not really pursue further education as side opposition thinks it is. So. First, one thing you mentioned is that it's unfair to say that average Malaysian doesn't have money. Okay, you concede to this point to a certain extent, but you have to realize that an average Malaysian is not extremely rich also. So an average Malaysian in this context, I'm going to assume here is that, let's say if you were to further your education, a college degree would probably cost quite a bit of your family's fortune, probably almost 40%, because it costs $500,000 just to further your studies as a doctor. Okay, next about KVs, which they mentioned. KVs is actually in fact below 18 because before that you are actually unable to work. So KVs is actually it's not considered as further education, and it actually strengthens our point because having a KV, which is in vocational schools, work in vocational schools, you can actually get more experience. Now,
PRI, please.
Yes.
Didn't your first speaker say KVs and TVETs are under higher education?
No, we just said that.
I just said it's not.
Yeah, it's just say it's not further education. You seem to have misinterpreted our point. Now, another thing you mentioned that not every person wants to get the TVET. That is true, but you have to realize that the people who go to further education also do not want to go to TVET. And I'll explain exactly why that in this status quo right now, it's actually extremely risky, and even though they have further education, you might still end up in TLife. So there's literally no point. And another thing that they're constantly assuming is that Malaysia is not the entire world. Malaysia is not a first world country that's capable of doing all of this. So, and the job market is not as pleasant and dreamland as they think. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly why their points, why about our points. Okay. So the thing about education is that having right after, no matter what stage you are, after finishing your degree, you are most likely in crippling debt. That's assuming that you are the average teenager. The thing is that, as a doctor, for example, failing at any point within within the part of your education, you are just kicked out. You cannot retry anymore. If let's say you fail during your housemanship, boom, you're in crippling debt. Let's say you fail during your interview, boom, you're in crippling debt. What are you gonna do then? You're going back to TLife, and you're still in 200k debt. What are you gonna do? Nothing. So. Next, the job market nowadays is also extremely tight. The world is not as it is 50 years ago when everything's open. Yes.
How does your side solve this problem?
What problem?
Problem of not like the job thing they just said.
The thing here is that we would not do this. So instead of going into this giant Venus flytrap of a trap, we would just decide to completely ignore it and instead start to invest and gain our personal wealth from the get-go. Instead of going into this massive trap and then in the end playing a roll of dice again and again and again until hopefully getting a job. Where right now in the job market, if let's say you take a degree, you might not even be able to get a great job. For example, a chemist makes about 3k, and then a bartender, which my cousin went, got 8k per month. So the difference here is that going to this crippling debt phase is just not worth it. And right now, Malaysia has an extremely oversaturation because almost most parents wants you to go into the holy trifecta: doctor, engineer, lawyer. But reality is, right now, engineers are kind of oversaturated, and even if you manage to get a job, the pay isn't as much as what you think it is. Now, on to my point of companies. Okay. They seem to think that companies would jump at the idea of, wow, this person has a degree, I want to hire this person. But in reality, think about it. If you are a company, who would you hire? Would you rather hire someone who has a master's in this degree and then would probably, let's say, work short term because it is not their field that they want, and then their standards are also high because they say, oh, I have a master's degree, you should pay me more. Or you compare someone who has more experience because with not following further education, you get that 2-3 years of critical work experience, which puts you ahead of your peers by much more. Who would the company hire? Would you rather retrain someone from the start, or would you have someone who already have that work experience? It's a clear choice. Companies will most likely want to hire these people. So, people with degrees usually get shut down from this. So, now, I'll take another point, POI if you can. Okay, so, I'm going to continue. So, with education right now, education, it seems, has not just that, compared to first world countries, education in Malaysia is actually much more damaging to a family than what they think it is. Because education, compared to first world countries, our education is kind of loosely based off theirs. So while their education, let's say, cost them 20k for them, it's actually more damaging to our economy because let's say you as an average teenager want to go further studies. Let's say you want to go overseas. Even if you want to stay work here, you have to pay a large sum, which let's say, and let's assume that let's say number one, your family can afford it. If your family can afford it, you're going to be jeopardizing your family. And if let's say you can afford it, you will still be in debt until your early 30s, until when you really start to make money. So now I'm going to continue with telling you on the long term. If in the long term, we have two options, okay? Let's say you are a chemist or an anthropologist, okay? In the long term, you might work it out. You might, in the best case scenario, you might get a job, you might get the average benefits, or you could be, in fact, one of these people who rather work for work experience. So if we compare these two, right, the chances of you failing at any moment of your time within this further education is much more worse than the others. Because look at this. Let's consider the option of failing. If let's say you fail within any point, let's say you get fired, it's very unlikely for you to get another job of similar quantity. And that is why never in my life have I been prouder to propose this case. Thank you.
I thank the Deputy Prime Minister for his fine speech. He spoke for 7 minutes and 10 seconds. I now invite the Deputy Leader of Opposition to begin her speech. Hear, hear.
Let's start my speech in 3, 2, 1. No higher education, no money, baby. So, two things to be proven in today's debate. First, our side wants to prove that Malaysia still has not transitioned to a job market without degrees. And degrees are still the standard of qualification for our status quo. Second of all, job opportunities is better on our side. One thing to be proven in today's debate is that we want to achieve a stable, guaranteed job. Now, I'll move on to our rebuttals. 3 rebuttals to be presented in today's debate. First and foremost, side government mentioned that even with a degree, you will still be working at T-Life. Understand that this is definitely not true, because with a degree, you can still always go to another job. Now, in Malaysia, teachers are still not enough in order for us to educate these students. Yeah, these people with degree they have the knowledge regarding the basic stuff of what they are pursuing, right? So therefore, they can just transition to become a teacher in order for them to get a new job. Easy. Second of all, rebuttal. Trap. These students will be trapped with loans and debts and money. Not yet. Understand that the loan and expenses at public university are so damn cheap. Because understand that the money that you need to pay towards these public universities are maximum, it's around like 100,000 a year. 100,000 a year. That's like, you do the math first. So they are basically exaggerating, like we are going to only private university, private institutions. Yes, I understand if you go to a private university, yes, the fees will be much more higher. But there's public university. You can just opt to go there and then you will already get higher education. So, third of all, companies want real work skills. This is untrue because the minimum is a degree. There is a social stigma against people without degree. And with that market experience, working at T-Life helps your resume application at Petronas ke? At Petronas? I don't think so. Now, I'll move on to my arguments. Two arguments to be presented in today's debate. First and foremost, regarding social stigma, and social influence. So, I'll be talking about stigma first. Understand that the society today have a mindset that higher education is very much important. And for that one to be respected within the society, they are to pursue higher education. This puts us involving ourselves with higher education, pursuing higher education, puts us to a higher position within the society. So, what's so important for us being at the higher position within the society, right? Two things will happen. First, let's talk about treatment. Understand that treatment in today's society is given based on your level within the society, based on the skills that you have, based on the knowledge you have, based on the position that you have. So understand, if you were to have a low position within the society, if you are like less knowledgeable than others, you will receive less better treatment. So this is something that is like a human nature thing, because you will respect something that is like much more greater than you. So second thing that will happen, privilege and opportunity. It is common sense that people who are exposed to this high level of education will receive more opportunities. Why? Because yes, you're already meeting the standard of what the society, of what the companies want. So now you are able to get anywhere, just get yourself into any jobs that you want according to your passion, right? So other than that, the privilege that you receive is also more than those who don't pursue higher education. Now, I will talk about social influence. So, social influence. Majority of the students or teenagers do opt to go and pursue higher education. So understand, when every single one of your friends are going to a higher education, you are now left behind. So what are the effects? What effect? This will affect your mental health. So when you see everyone achieving such high success, receiving money, high income money, living in a bungalow, and you're just a mechanic and doing day and night shift, how would you feel? If I was a teenager, I will be damn depressed because I don't have any money and I don't have nothing that is like sustainable or will stay with me. So because you're seeing everyone climbing up the career ladder and you're just stagnant in your life being a mechanic with no way to expand yourself or to expose yourself to the world. So moving on to my second argument. My second argument states that why would people pay for university? So, understand that university in the first place is where people gain further and more in-depth knowledge. So this is basically the stepping stone for these average student people to get better life and success. So, state government mentioned that, it will cost like a lot of fortune, my family fortune will be cut off by 40%. Government, listen clearly. Yes, we will trade off fortune in order for us to go to university. Why? Understand that these average student, if they want to go to university with the money that they need to pay, they will be surrounded by the pressure to gain success. And this will create the incentive for these average students to work harder so that their money do not go to waste or do not go to waste. And understand, sir government, these average student doesn't mean that they will stay average their whole life. Average student still can progress in their life and still can get better as well. So, understand, this is the timeline. Positive pressure, you will work harder. When you work harder, you will become clever. When you become clever, you get degree. When you get degree, you get money, and boom, you are above average than others. So, what is the impact here? At least in our world, with people having like degree, they're able to ensure that their life is more stable. Understand that in government world, they don't even have backup plans on how they're going to like survive in life with no with just basic knowledge, unlike others. So if you want a side that caters towards these students, vote for opposition side. Here, here.
The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 3 seconds. I thank the speaker for a fine speech and I invite the government whip to the stage whenever he's ready. Please do that in the toilet.
Sorry.
Oh.
My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. First off, I'd like to say that this motion, personally to me, is a very personal motion, as I really believe that this motion should be passed. Like, I personally, on a very personal and deep level, really believe that this motion should be passed. Because from where I come from, maybe Op is more privileged than where I am, but the family where I come from, I don't think you will believe this, but I actually come from a pretty impoverished, not impoverished, but below average family. But my mom, she did not receive education, like a high quality of education. Like her education compared to some of your parents might be, I guess you would consider like a bit lower than others. But she worked hard. Government and opposition has to understand that studying hard is not the only way to work hard. You can work hard to earn money. Studying is not the only way to earn money. There's so many ways to earn money. Like for example, my mom, she had no education, but she worked hard as an insurance agent and she provided for us as a single mother. And because of that, we were able to escape an impoverished life and she started a business by herself. So we want the opposition to understand that by studying, that's not the only option for you to study. As me, I'm not really a good student. I really believe that I might not make it if I just study. And I believe that that's the case for most average students in this world, like in Malaysia, because you should understand, Malaysian education is a joke compared to other countries. There's no denying that. Other countries, they prepare you to go out into reality. They give you all the tools and essential things you need. But like our degree compared to their degrees, it's expected that when you take a public degree in Malaysia, it's expected that you stay here. There's no chance for you to leave because you have a Malaysian degree. And that Malaysian degree does not give you the options that other more renowned degrees from overseas gives you. So you are expected to stay here. And when you are expected to stay here, let me think of it like this. Like Ruben said, like my DPO said, you are expected to stay in Malaysia. And what will a company hire? They will obviously hire the more long-term and cheaper investment. When you have a degree, you're expecting a higher pay and you're expecting broader horizons. That is part of the materialistic world that we live in right now. You always want more. You always want to live out of your means. You always want to climb higher, but that's not the only way to live in this life. What I suggest, opposition, is that you live through passion and not only materialistic things. You have to understand, some people are not as privileged as you. They do not have the chance and they do not have the proper standing to achieve what you want to achieve through education alone. Some people, they have a massive setback in start. Some people have a massive head start in life where they are provided into a good house, a good family with proper education, and they already have a head start, and they actually have the chance to pursue a career in education, to pursue their educational path. But for example, for the average student, maybe we are not as smart as them. We have to find other options. And let me tell you, there are other options. And think of it like this: when you take a degree, you're getting set back in life. You literally start off in the real world where you're finding a job with a massive debt on your back. You already have a big backstep. And like what Ruben said, whereas compared to like after you take an SPM, you straight away take a job, you have a massive head start because you already have years of work experience compared to your peers. You already know what to do. You already have that work experience. Plus, because maybe you went to a vocational school, you are a cheaper hire. You can work your way up from the ground up. That's not the only option. Just because you have a degree does not guarantee that you have a good job. Just because you have a degree does not guarantee that you will be successful in life. Some people can work as hard. You claim that the only way to work hard is through studying, but some people work so hard in studying, they work their back off, that they become millionaires just because they work hard. They start from the ground up and they start building the world up. And let me ask you this: another point that Ruben brought up is passion. Let me ask you this: if a doctor did not earn as much as a doctor, would you really want to be a doctor of your own choice? Like a doctor works so hard, like you literally breaking your back, working 60 hours, like looking at people's poop and you have to clean out after them. That is not really something that I want to do. That's not really something that most people want to do. When I was a kid, I did not want to be a doctor, I did not want to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a zoologist, but they do not earn money. They earn peanuts. And because they earn peanuts, I was not allowed to. I could not pursue the career that I wanted to pursue. And because of that, I actually believe that you should not only focus on money. Money is not the only answer in life. There are some things that are more important than money. There are some things like passion. Like what Ruben said, passion is more important than money. I want to pursue my passion. I do not want to just continue living in the rat race where I have to chase for money.
Yes.
Yes?
First, you need to calm down. Second of all, give Give me 3 examples of the millionaire that started from zero to hero.
First, entrepreneur, insurance agent,
No,
and
name.
huh?
Name.
Joanne Wong, my mom. My uncle and my aunt. All millionaires. Okay, anyways, another great example is this. My uncle, not the rich uncle, but a poor uncle. He was a genius in school. He got straight A plus for SPM. But because of that, she wanted to go to a university overseas because she was given the idea that you have to go to an overseas college, you have to get a good degree, a good PhD, you have to get the best education possible to get a good hairstyle in life. But because of that, he went to Stanford, a very good university, right? I'm sure you all think that's a very good. But his major was in philosophy. He majored in philosophy because there was no other option for him. That even though he got straight A plus for SPM, the college he assigned, they prioritized. Because he was not Bumi Putra and he did not get the scholarship. His only choice to apply for scholarship was to go through philosophy. And because he thought that was his only choice, because he has been so brainwashed that is the only option for him to get a good education, to succeed in life, he went that path. He went down that path of pursuing a degree that he did not want. He has no interest in philosophy, but that was the only way he could get into a good school. Because that's the only option available.
Yeah, please.
And in most cases, for most average people, when you're not the top of the top, when you're not the 1%, the top 1% percentile, that's your only option. You have to take what you're given, and when you take what you're given, you have no other options. There's no guarantee. Because he took the philosophy degree, he had no job for 10 years. They wanted to hire him because who will hire someone with a philosophy degree? When you only look at the educational standpoint, when you only look at it from an educational standpoint, and you don't follow your passion, that's what you do. That's what you're doing. You're stuck in a job because you think that you cannot follow your passion because the norm is to get a degree, right? To get a degree, to go to college, to follow what other people say is the norm. And because that you do not follow your passion, you have no passion for it. And when you fail, let me just make this straight. You can fail by pursuing what is perceived as the best option. Just because someone says it's the best option, it's not the best option. You can do what you said, like you can go on a set straight path, like for example, going to college, going on a degree, like taking a degree, like what your parents say, take a medical degree, take a lawyer degree, take a doctor degree. You can still get fired, you can still lose your job, and you can still not get a job in the first place. Just because you went on the path that they told you is the best path, does not mean you will succeed. That's why I think that it's more important that you follow your passion. Like you have to follow your passion. Like just because that it's more likely that you will fail your passion, it's more important that you follow your passion because you are actually be doing something that you enjoy. And there's no guarantee they'll get a good job just because you have a good degree. The market in Malaysia, the market is oversaturated. The market is absolute garbage. I have to say, the market is absolute garbage. There's no guarantees. The government does not do anything to help you unless maybe you're like a Bumi Putra, where they actually give you subsidies and other things. If you're a Chinese like me, they do not support you. I'm sorry, that's probably racist, but that's the truth. The truth in Malaysia is that you are not guaranteed a stable job and not guaranteed like something stable just because you follow a degree path, just because you follow the path that they told you to follow. So that's why it's imperative that you follow your passion. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank the speaker for his heartfelt speech and okay, sure, toilet break. No, they won't allow, but
It's true. That was inspiring. That was inspiring. Mr. Judo. Huh? Apa? Dia relax. Cool off. Wah, you gotta bring this home.